Because most people still think this plays out like it did 20 years ago, where instability in the Middle East leads to an oil shock, which eventually hits the US economy, and for a long time, this was true. Because 20 years ago, the United States was heavily dependent on foreign oil. In fact, roughly 60% of the total petroleum consumption was from imports. So when the global supply got disrupted, the impact was immediate. Prices spiked, inflation surged, and the economy hit pause. It was a clear, linear relationship. But that version of the world doesn't exist anymore, because over the past 2 decades, something changed. New drilling techniques unlocked massive shale reserves for the United States, and production boomed. And suddenly, the United States didn't just reduce its dependence on foreign oil, it flipped the entire script. Because if you fast forward to the present, the United States is the largest oil producer in the world, which means the old narrative, it's outdated. Because now, the United States isn't on the same side of the trade anymore. So now the question becomes, then who actually is exposed? And this is where you get to the real story. Because most of the oil moving through the Strait of Hormuz isn't going to the United States. In fact, only 2.5% of it is. The majority of the oil in the Middle East is going somewhere else, to Asia, and more specifically, China, India, Japan, and South Korea. Because together, these 4 countries account for roughly 75% of all the oil moving through the strait. So when people say a disruption here will shock the global economy, they're not wrong, but they're also missing something very important. It's an asymmetric shock, and it doesn't hit everyone equally.